Hello and welcome back to Long Delays. Today we're going to be painting Mr. Frodo Baggins, a metal miniature from the Emyn Muil set from Games Workshop. We're going to start by painting his face, his hands, and his hobbit feet with Bugman's Glow. Give him that nice hobbity skin. When you're painting his feet, don't forget about his little patches of hobbit foot hair. Now we're gonna next paint his trousers with Rhinox hide. And speaking of his hobbit foot hair, don't forget to paint those with Rhinox hide. I also use that to paint the hair on his head. And for his jacket, I used a Galvorback red, which is a darker red color. I want it to be noticeably red, but also not too bright. Just take your time when painting with the Galvorback. You'll need to make sure you turn around, turn on the miniature, turn them upside down if you need to, and make sure you get all those sleeves. And for his shirt, I used Thondia Brown. I used Thondia Brown because it is a slightly different tone, a little bit lighter and brighter than Rhinox hide. I wanted to distinguish the top and bottom parts of his outfit. For the Elven Cloak, I decided to go with a rather light shade of green, so I used Deathworld Forest. Now I'm painting over a Chaos Black primer, so this took me, I would say on average, like 2.5 coats to make sure I clearly got that green to show up. There are little bits on the front side of the model where you'll need to get that Deathworld Forest in, so just make sure you're looking all over and make sure you catch every part of that cloak. The backpack I painted with Mechanica Standard Gray. Of course, making sure not to hit any of that Deathworld Forest that I painted in the previous set. And when painting Sting, I used Iron Hand Steel. And with all the base coats done, I started in with the washes. With Agrex Earthshade, I washed his pants, his shirt, as well as his hair, his jacket, and I don't forget the little tiny patches of hair on his feet. And I used the Thonian Camo Shade, which is a kind of a dirty green, to wash the Elven Cloak. I wanted to dull the brightness of the Deathworld Forest just a little bit. And for the sword and the backpack, I use Doln oil. For the skin, I use Reikland Flesh Shade. This is quite a small miniature, even by Middle-earth standards or Games Workshop standards, so making sure you get into all those toes and finger areas is something you really need to make sure you do whenever you're washing a foot with Reikland Flesh Shade. Now, I did some highlights here with Gorthor Brown on the shirt as well as the pants, so it's much easier for me with highlighting a model this size to hold it on the side like this, just because it's more natural for my hands. So I just went in and picked out some folds as well as the area where the two parts of the shirt meet. And I'm going to layer up the jacket here with Wordbearer's Red, because after that Agrex Earthshade coat, the jacket's not really looking that red anymore. So I want to bring that redness back. And I'm still leaving the Agrex Earthshade as well as some of the Galvorback Red in the recesses. Just picking out some of the more higher, flatter points. And to highlight the skin, I used Cadian Flesh Tone with as small of a brush as I can find. I went in and picked out his little hobbit fingers, his little hobbit toes, his little hobbit nose, as well as his hobbit eyebrows, cheeks. And for his hair is a bit tricky, because in the films it's kind of a light, very, very light brown to dark blonde kind of texture. So to represent that, I use Steel Legion Drab to highlight the Rhinox hide. Your mileage may vary on the highlight you choose to use here. You could also maybe use Gorthor Brown, but I wanted to use a different highlight than the one I used on this coat. And as always, don't forget to highlight the hair on his feet. And I also highlighted his coat with Wazdakka Red. You'll notice there's no paint on my brush. It's because I made an error when recording this, but I did want to point out the areas of the model that I highlighted. It's just the lapel parts, the ends of the sleeves, basically the end parts of the model. Now to highlight the cloak, I use Lauren Forest. This kind of gets the little bit of the brightness back that we washed out with the Athonian Camo Shade. as before, when layering, don't forget to turn them all around and get this front side of the cloak for highlights. For the backpack, I did some layering with Dawnstone Air. There's a bunch of little different bits and bobs in this backpack. They all seem to be the same color, but it does make little bits of it stand out. Now, he has an elven cloak, of course, and it's held together by a brooch. In the movie, this is green, but that doesn't hold up very well. So I just painted it all with Hushed copper. And the last piece that I painted was the endpoints of Sting. I highlighted with Runefang Steel. So I just picked out the edges of the blade, the pommel, as well as the edges of the hilt. And there is Mr. Frodo finished after some basing work. He is ready to go and kill some orcs. Thank you very much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it.